Hello, everyone, and I'm going to have to rely on you and find out if you can hear me because it's been a couple of days now trying to get on that the voice doesn't seem to be working, but as I look over here, I do see the mic. It says mic muted. So Holly, can you hear me? If you wouldn't mind letting me know if you can actually hear me. Hi, Faye. Okay, great. So before I get started with all the questions and answering and everything, there's a couple of things I'd like to do tonight. Well, one in particular, but what I want to talk about is being a medium. Okay, and there's all different shapes and forms of mediums. I call myself a psychic medium because originally that's what I pegged myself as a psychic. You know, I was doing readings, tarot cards, tea leaves, coffee grounds, ruins. So I thought that's really where I was. And then as things began to change and I realized that I always knew I could see people who had passed, dead ones. So I see dead people way before the show came out with Bruce Willis. And when I first really accepted the idea of being a medium, I then started doing shows for chapters. And I did shows in BC, I did shows in Alberta, and I did shows in Ontario. And then that changed when chapters was taken over, and then I stopped doing shows. But what I want to talk about is there's several types of mediumship in particular. And so one of the things a little story I want to tell you, maybe a couple of stories about being out there in the limelight. And this is back in 1999 when I really went gung-ho and I was going to really be out there. Same time, you know, John Edwards, James Van Praagh, all the big names were out there. And so there are mediums who can just hear things. So they'll hear voices, they'll hear sounds. And so there's that one type, and that's clairaudio or clairaudience. And then there are the people who can smell things. Okay, and that is I call it clairsensory, but there's another word for it. But you can smell things. You can smell flowers, pipe tobacco, that type of thing. And perfumes. Like when Granny B's around, I smell lavender perfume, the kind that came from Avon when we were kids. Then there is the claircognizance. And that's when you just know something. You have no idea how you know it. It's a gut feeling. Think of the mums in the war when, they knew before they got that little piece of paper that said, hey, I'm sorry, but, your son, your daughter died. And then there is clairgustance, and that's when you actually, it's a clear tasting. Like you'll taste, rice pudding, or you'll taste whiskey. And these two, the clairsensitence and the clairgustant, can go together because sometimes you'll smell it before you actually taste it. And it's like, I noticed Holly said that, yes, I did smell cancer on her friend before she had it, and that's it. I can smell certain illnesses. Cancer is one of them, and diabetes is the other one. And then with the heart, what I'll do is I'll feel this pressure that's so heavy on my chest. It's like if we went back to when the Puritans used to press people, put a board on them, put the rocks on them, and press them to death. Well, then that's the kind of feeling I get when I feel someone has heart issues or lung issues. I'll get a tickle in my throat when someone smokes too much or they have esophagus problems. So the next one is clairvoyance, and that is where you see it. Okay, that's what I do. Occasionally, I sort of wrap them all together for me, and I can do all of them. And so then that is when I started calling myself a psychic medium, because it was just a little easier for people to understand. And what was really cute is there I am standing up in front of 50 people at chapters. And I remember saying that to them, I'm a medium. And it was before Medium, the show, came out. And they all sat there looking at me really funny. And it's like, what do you mean you're a medium? And I looked at them, and so I cracked a joke, because I think having the ability to have that humor with you when you're standing in front of people is really important. And I went, okay, so I'm extra large. And then everyone cracked the joke, and then Medium came out. So after that, I really didn't have to explain myself. Thank you, Lynn. And hello, Lynn. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little about that, because I've had a lot of questions about how is it you know? And I'd love to say, well, it's just because, but it's not. There's a whole group of factors that come together. So I'm going to start at the top, and hello, Holly, Faye, Colleen, Angie, and hello, Penelope, and Linda, and Lynn. Oh, Lynn, I miss doing platforms. Lynn is another medium, and she does her work different slightly than I do. And Lynn was at the First Spiritualist United Church, and I would go in there and I would stand on stage, and I would have a little talk first, and then I would do my psychic spill. And it was a lot of fun. The energy that would come off of that, like, thank goodness I had an hour and a half drive home, because of that, I was able to come down. So tonight I am going to do a little different. I have my trusted little paper here. I am keeping an eye on my email and my Facebook account, because for those of you who I can't see on here tonight, maybe, and I don't know where you guys are right now, so maybe if Penelope or anyone sees someone ask a question and I'm not answering it, if you could just type it to me, that would help for anyone who I can't see online. And Faye, I know, Holly, you came on first and asked about a health issue with you. And then I'm going to jump to Faye, because Faye, who is my cousin as well, she had sent me a message last night, but I'm really sorry I wasn't doing the show last night. Went and had dinner with Sean. And so this is when clairsensory, which is like being an empath in some aspects, it's very closely connected. He's sitting there, he looks gray, and I said to him, you know what, you don't feel good. And he goes, oh, I'm just tired. But I know it's a little more than that, because he got hit with a bucket, knocked on his ass, so to speak. So I think it's really important for him to go see a doctor, but all I am is the messenger now. It's up to him. And hopefully he's listening to this. Okay, so Holly, do I see a health issue around you? First of all, I'm going to say make sure you're checked for COVID, okay, just in case, but that's not really what I'm picking up. And I'll encourage Penelope and Lynn or anyone else who picks anything up to text it in there. Make sure you put the person's name. But I'm not picking up that. I do feel a little lethargic. And so your iron count might be down. And I hear a little whistle. So I'm wondering whether or not you've got a slight cold, lung infection, something you should get checked. All right, so Holly, I am going to suggest that you talk to a doctor, since I'm not one, but I would say you should get something checked. I'm not smelling cancer, so I'm not saying it's cancer. Okay, I feel there is something there, but it might be something where maybe you need Ventolin or something to help clear the lungs a little bit. All right, Faye, you sent me a message that said about your great grandson who's 4, and that he is seeing a ghost in his room, and that Ray had come to visit him shortly after he had died, or the night he had died. I would tell you that there's two people in your great-grandson's room. One is Ray. There's hands down, no doubt whatsoever, Faye, that it is Ray. And I feel as though he's there to keep an eye on him. Consider him like a guardian angel or a spirit guide, leaning a little more heavy to guardian angels, which one day next week, we're going to talk about angels and the difference in some of the angels. So if there's a particular angel you'd like to ask questions about, again, send me an IM, send me an email, and I will look up the angel so we can discuss the pros and cons of having that particular angel around you. Now, the other person feels like a child, Faye, feels like a young boy, may have been in the house prior or on the land prior to your grandson, great-grandson living there. But I feel like I want to play is what it feels like, and it definitely feels like a boy. The difference is that with both of them, I don't feel threatened. And I would say your great-grandson probably very likely has the gift as well. And it may be something that, you guys might want to get him a little book so he could color the images so he can see them. Hello, Colleen. I don't know if I've seen you before, or at least your name. Colleen, I have a young man around you, and okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a few names here, and if any of you recognize the name, please say yes and put the name next to the yes so I know who I'm talking about, because I'm going to say a few names, and they can be alive and they can also be past. All right, so starting with Colleen, and this could go for anyone. So I'm saying names, even though I'm talking to Colleen. If there's anyone else who recognizes the name, please let me know and make sure you put the name down. All right. So Colleen, I have the name Michael, Mike, the sound name around you, that shadow in the background. And I'm just wondering if you recognize the name. I sort of feel like it's a young man. I do want to say alive. So this could be someone from your past, even in your present right now. And I feel like he's struggling with a choice. And as he struggles with the choice, he may actually talk to you about it. And if he does talk to you about it, basically what you do is say what's in your heart. Don't tell him what he wants to hear. Okay? Say what's in your heart. That's the most important thing about that message. And Colleen, I also get the impression there's a shift, a move around you. This could be, I don't necessarily, just a minute, they're not saying you're moving. They're actually saying you're shifting, you're changing something inside the residence that you already live in. So you may be doing a decoration. I'm going to say check the bathroom, make sure all the taps are tight, not so tight that you're stripping them, but make sure, especially one down by the toilet, occasionally it will come loose. So just make sure everything's in place. Angie, there are, okay, so we're going to try proper English tonight, but there are opportunities galore in front of you. And I feel like it's like the heart is beating to a drum of its own making. Okay. And it feels as though you're going down a different path, Angie. And as you go down the different path, these little doors open left and right as you go. So you can make a decision which door you actually want to open and which one you want to close. So think of it as I'm opening the door because I'm curious, but it turns out I'm not really that curious in what that has, how it reflects, how it resonates with me. Angie, so then you go down to the next door or call it a window, okay? But either way, there are some new opportunities being presented, and you are actually going to be very surprised about what's coming towards you. Oh, hello, Penelope. So Penelope is my sister, and she is on with me Wednesday night. And Penelope, I know there are some interesting things going around with your community and stuff, but what I'm feeling is that there's some legal paper that you're going to need to sign. And this may even involve a purchase of something that you're looking for. So at this point, I'm going to say maybe you're signing papers to buy your house. Okay, so there is some sort of legal paper. And the only thing I'm going to say, Penelope, is make sure you read it. And I also feel as though, you know, when you put money on your hand, and I don't know if you've ever done it, but you go like this and it sort of goes flying off. You put the next piece off and do the same thing. There's money, not that you're wasting it, but you need to put it away. Okay, so that's what they're saying, is there's some money, Penelope, that you need to put away. Now, the other thing too is you're going to need Faye and Penelope and Holly. You're going to need boots, all three of you. Maybe not all the same kind of boots, but you're going to need a set of boots this year. So I'm going to say make sure you get boots that are comfortable when you put your foot in. You've got your sock. Maybe you want a little bigger sock so you're not getting blisters. Hello, Linda. Are there any issues why Addison doesn't want to sleep in her room? Linda, is Addison around 5, give or take, or in that bracket? If you could let me know, I'll look down a little bit more. Okay, so back to the names. Robert, Rob, Bob. Okay, I'm going to write them down. So Robert, just think of it, bring it down to that denomination of Bob. Donald, Don, Donnie. Okay. Peter, Pete. And I have a friend that I call Pierre. So just to irritate him. So Peter, Pete, or Pierre. David. So David can come down to any denomination. And I'm going to see if I can link them up. And I've got a Jason. And is there a Linda? Like not you, Linda, but a Linda, preferably who's dad. That one I'm going to definitely state dad. So here's the thing. If you recognize the name, yes, Robert, and alive or dead, that's how I'd like you to answer the question. And if you can let me know, because then I'll go through all the names I've written down. There are more, like I've got a Margaret, I've got a Mary, I have a Marie, I have an Elizabeth, and I have a Grace, and I have Grace. I think it's Gwen or Jenny. I'm not sure. Okay. So if you recognize the name, please let me know, and I'll go through them as I keep talking. And Lynn. Yes. Lynn said Claire. Okay. I can't say it, but where you can smell it is often the very strongest of the gifts, which is true. It is. Now, Claire's sensory. So I can't conduct metal, but there are people, and I think Lynn can do this, that they could take your glasses, your car keys, a necklace, a watch that you wear, and you can hold it, if I'm correct, and you can feel the energy off of it. So there is that. And that one, I have a hard time. If it's paper, if it's a picture, I can do it. But when it comes time to metal, I have a really hard time to be able to conduct metal. So Lynn, just out of curiosity, I know your son passed, and I'm really sorry about his passing, but I do have to ask if this is a sudden passing, Lynn, because it doesn't feel like it took its time, that and that I feel like I'm supposed to tell you his heart is with you. And I don't know if that means you've got something that represents a heart for him, or whether or not Do you know if he also or you have a bad shoulder? Because I've got some sort of pain back here, and I sort of feel like I'm free falling. I hope that makes sense to you, Lynn. And the other thing I can smell is cigarettes. And I know you don't smoke, so I'm sort of guessing this might be connected to your son. Hello, Alana. And like I said, I do miss doing the platform work. So who knows? Maybe one day then I'll be back and I'll get up there and you'll be the person introducing me again, or maybe you'll be on stage with me and we can work together. Hello, Alana. So Alana, I was actually given a message for you before you came on, and I am told to tell you to pace yourself. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick one project for a day and then do that project. Don't keep trying to do them over and over and over, because the more you try to do the projects, like the more you jam irons into the fire, the farther away it's going to get, and then it becomes a little more difficult. And just out of curiosity, did you get some sage and sage your place? Hello, Brenda. Brenda, there is going to be a celebration around you. In my head, I can see the Ace of Cups, and so to me that means things are flowing over. They're coming into your view. I also see a celebration around a baby. I want to say it's a boy. And so it could be a birthday party, it could be an announcement of a pregnancy, but there is, Brenda, around you this celebration. Okay, Linda, Addison is definitely feeling or seeing someone in her room. So I am going to say maybe you should talk to her and ask her if she could describe what or who she's seeing, because it doesn't feel, well, it feels like a man. I would say maybe a grandfather, a William, Bill. Oh, maybe might be the Robert I was talking about earlier. But I would say he's connected to the family. I don't think he's like someone who hasn't been in your house before, or at least been around you before. Hello, Jeanette. How are you? Okay, so who by any chance? Okay, Kathy, remember, yeah, thank you for saying yes, my husband's name, but which one of those names is your husband? And because I listed a few, so if you could just tell me who it was. And Jeanette, I have a lady around you, like an Elizabeth, a Grace, Ellie, Elsie, Lisa, Elsa, Elsbeth. It's a different name. She's on the other side, and she is showing me, so I know you're married or living with someone, I think. And she shows me that you need to be careful. If you've got a ring, you need to be careful where you're putting the ring, because it looks like it's falling in the toilet. And it's funny because depending on what is in the toilet, you might not want to put your hand in there. So at which point you might want to get a pair of tongs and try to pull the ring out that way. But if it goes down the gooseneck, well, you're out of luck. So be careful where you're putting your jewelry. Oh, hello, Kathy. Yes. Holly, do I have a message from my spirit guides? Well, Holly, in actual fact, I'm just going to talk about the people around people tonight, like the deceased loved ones. Spirit guides, they want a whole topic of their own, they said. But my guess is that if you pay attention, Holly, to your own symptoms, like we all know our own bodies, and we know when something's not right. And if we aren't the champions of going to the doctor and saying, hey, you need to get this looked at because I'm feeling this way. And if you don't press the issue, well, then you've got no one to blame. Okay. So my message to you from your spirit guide, and I would tell you, he's a Roman soldier. Very, very much proud of who he is. Like, he did a good job. He doesn't feel like he did anything wrong. He fought for a cause to bring an empire together and to conquer the world. It's what he's saying to me. And so when I look at that, Holly, I think that he's saying to you, be proud of yourself. Know what you're after and go get it. Okay, so Colleen, you said no Mike. All right. I'm going to say you're wrong, all right, because we can take you all the way back to childhood. And I'm pretty sure there was a Mike or Michael in your childhood, because I am picking up the name and I know he's going to be in touch. Okay. And you've got to keep in mind, when I do a name, it's connected to you, to your family, to your friends, to your acquaintances. Now, if you're in a relationship or have been in a relationship, then those names are also connected to them. Now, one of the things I want to say is I never stop to do in-laws, and names can be first, middle, or last names. And if there's one thing I've learned over the year, if I say a name to someone, there is a connection. Okay, all right. So, Haley, I'm not actually pulling cards tonight, but I can tell you what I'm seeing and feeling, because Spirit tonight, my guides, who were a little pushy about this, said, I need to show you what I can do. Okay, and it doesn't always involve the cards. And I'll be using the cards again someday, probably next week. But tonight they said, you know what? You talk about getting messages and that you need to show them how it works. So, Haley, I am seeing a new idea, the birth of a new idea around you. And it's like putting little flowers seeds into the ground. Now, this makes me think work related, because when the flowers grow, they could grow into a tree, they could grow into a rose bush. And so that represents growth inside and to making the money that goes with it. So you could even be starting something of your own. You may be starting a new job. You may be starting an idea. You may be writing a book. And there's about 3 of you. And Lynn, if you're still there, I want to tell you that you're one of the people who should be writing a book as well. All right. There is a book. There are 3 of you that are publishing. So it does feel that there should be a book written. And that also goes for you, Haley. But I also feel like there is a family change around you as well, Haley, and one that's going to bring immense surprises and lots of joy that goes with it. Okay. So, Colleen, you're welcome. Kathy, again, I haven't got down to the bottom. So if you have told me who your husband's name is, then we'll deal with him. But since I know he is passed, Tiana, how is my grandma Betty Lewis? Random smelling of candle or perfume is related to her. So if her name is Betty, would she have been Elizabeth to begin with, or was she just Betty all along? Because Elizabeth and Betty do go hand in hand. I would tell you that I've got this sound of a drum, but one of the drums that I would have in Jamaica, not that I've ever been there, but you know, where you have the street and people are doing the drums and I can hear the music and I feel like she's dancing, and there's a gentleman who's dancing with her, and it's either a brother, like a JJ sound, like John, Jack, James, Jim, George, Joseph. It's a JJ sound, and it could just be JJ. And they seem to be laid back, relaxed, and enjoying their life now. All right, so Kathy, what's going on with my son Timothy? He is so angry and sad and depressed. Well, there are a lot of people angry, sad, and depressed with COVID, but my impression is this isn't new to him, that it's always been there. And I would say that he's probably really would benefit him to go see a counselor, psychologist, psychologist, or there's one more there. I can't think of it right now. But I would say the anger has something to do, 1, with his dad passing, and 2, with the way, and same with the sadness, anger, sadness, and depression. They could, even though I think your Mike's been gone 5 years or 4 years, it could still be connected to that. Okay, so and it could just be life isn't going the way he wants it to. And he could also be a child who came back from another lifetime and has brought that anger, depression, and sadness with him. So this is something I would say he really needs to go talk to a counselor, Kathy. And yes, Tion, to answer that other question that you have there, when you smell the candle, the perfume randomly, I would say that is definitely your grandma. But I also feel like you got a grandfather on the other side, so you should also be smelling cigarette smoke, tobacco, Irish Spring by the smells of it. So I think there's other smells there that are connecting to other people who have passed as well. Hello, Helena, how are you? Helena, put on your dancing shoes. You're supposed to go dancing. I have well, first of all, I have a birthday party or an invite to a birthday party for you, Helena. But I also feel like you're going dancing, or you're supposed to be dancing around. You're supposed to be moving the energy around yourself. So it could be throwing music on your TV, throwing it on a radio, and they're saying, Helena, do you recognize the name Robert? Because I am getting the name, and I really think it's important if you do recognize it, or if anyone recognizes the name Robert, Rob, Bob. And remember, first, middle, or last name. So, Helena, I'm going to wait to see if you answer that. And Addison is 8. Then, Linda, Addison is old enough at this point for you to be able to ask her what's going on. And don't make fun of her, and I know you wouldn't. If she says, like, yeah, there's a monster in my room, ask her to describe the monster, because I sort of feel like it could be a grandfather, great-grandfather, or a wood nymph in her room. At which point I might want him out too. And at which point what you can do is you can go in with her, give the person a name, and ask them to move on, that they don't belong there. Okay. So Kathy, yes, if you are smelling cigarettes in your house and other people have passed besides your husband who smoked, then those smells that you're getting will be connected to all of them. All right. So Linda, thank you. David is alive. All right. So David, the message is for David. Hopefully you're talking to him, Linda, and you can hand on the message. But what I'm feeling is I'm supposed to tell him life is like building blocks. And if the block doesn't fit the way he thought it was going to, then maybe he should move the block, put it in a different area, and move another block into the place. Because there is some changes coming around David, and I feel like he's hitting his head against the wall. Okay. And if he's doing that, well, then he's getting stuck. So I'm telling him to move the block, put it in a different location, and then keep moving forward, because there's new growth, new entrepreneurship, I sort of think there's a dad, it's either your dad or his dad that's passed. And I feel as though I'm supposed to say, stop standing in your own path. That's what I'm supposed to say. Okay. Angie, Robert's alive. Angie, is Robert a friend, a brother? That's how I'm going to go with this. Oh, Linda. Okay, I'm going to jump back and forth. So thank God this is taped. Okay, so Linda, Mary. You know the old nursery rhyme, Mary, Mary, quite quintary, how does your garden grow? Well, this is a message for you, and it's about you looking after yourself, because there's more to that nursery rhyme. And I mean, it was a nursery rhyme for us when we were kids, but apparently it was actually a really scary nursery rhyme in the mid-ages. And so what I'm telling you, Linda, is look after yourself. Look after the way you're eating, the way you're sleeping, the way you're exercising. Make sure you're on top of everything, because your life is supposed to be approximately, give or take, 103. So for you to get there, you're going to have to make sure that you're looking after yourself. And then Helena, Robert is dead. And I feel as though I'm supposed to tell you he's in a good place. I have dogs, horses, cats, and pigs around him. So I don't know if he actually worked on a farm at one point or whether or not there's just a connection that he had to animals. But what I feel is that his hands are rough. So if he had soft hands in life, in this time now, he has rough hands. And he is very much in love with where he is. And I also feel like, Alana, I'm supposed to tell you to be very much in love with where you are right now, because that environment that you're in are people who care about you. So Angie, back to you. All right. So I am going to ask, and I hope you have a pen and paper, but just in case, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to ask Robert on November 15th at 6:19 p.m. if he could just park his car for 5 minutes. All right. I sort of feel like either he's gone around a corner too fast and maybe fishtailed a little. So I'm just asking him if he can park his car for that, 15 minutes. It would be perfect. Okay, Tiana, you said yes. Thank you. Your grandmother's full name was Elizabeth. She is so proud of you. And what I want to state right now is, even if you don't meet your grandparents or you don't meet people, and I talk about them as though you know them, you need to know that they can see you on the other side. They're not limited. They're like a light bulb. If I shut the light bulb off, the plug-in over here still works. So they're like a light bulb. So they are all around you. And they very much can go from place to place. And the piece that comes back, the piece that needed to be in this lifetime, well, they'll come back. Maybe you'll meet them as a friend. Maybe you'll meet them as a great-grandchild. It's hard to say. Okay. So when I talk about them, I really need you to know that these people are around you and that they really love you and they are looking after you. Okay. So now, Elizabeth and Helena, I told you about your Robert. And if I didn't, just remind me. And Christine, yes, keep in mind, when I'm saying these names, they can be for any of you. Okay. I just have a flood of names. I'm sort of like a little overheated inside right now for the amount of voices that are going on. And they are very much around you. They want you to know that they are looking after you. So if you're listening to the message, it can be for you and it can be for someone else. But what I'm trying to do too is to hone in. So Christine, is your Margaret alive or passed? Could you clarify that? And if she is, would Maggie be the name she actually went by, or Marge? Faye. Yes, Mary and Margaret are dead, so they're family. And what I feel is, okay, another nursery rhyme. Row, row, row your boat. All right. And so, Faye, life is supposed to get gentler, not crazy, out of whack anymore. So you're the one sitting in the boat, whether it's the middle, the back, or the front, and you're rowing. Okay. So how you row your boat, Faye, seems to be really important now. And to be looking after yourself and to making sure that nutrition is going to be important, as you well know. And also honing in again to your spiritual beliefs. That's another thing that they are bringing forward for you as well, Faye. Okay, so Holly, as I said, don't have to know the people, but since your grandma was Grace, and just so you know, our grandma was Grandma Grace as well, I am going to say that because your grandma has shown up, Holly, that I think it might be really important. Okay, so she's showing me a doily, and Faye, I have to go back to you with this doily as well. You know, the kind that used to go on the back of the toilets and across the little side tables, and they'd have a lamp or something on. And I don't know if you actually make doilies, but Maybe she's saying you should have the doily so you can collect the dust that way. I'm just sort of guessing because she seems to think that there's dust that needs to be collected. Okay, Alana, Mary was your grandma and she passed. I'm seeing Christmas. Okay. And with Christmas comes a lot of excitement, a lot of clutter, a lot of impatience, and a long time to make a meal and a short time to eat it. So what I'm going to say is that, and this is to Alana, that I'm telling you to take your time. Don't rush through it. So if you yank the turkey out of the oven and you end up with grease on your foot, that's because you're rushing. Take your time. And if it's a whole day event, then take your time doing it. And I think I've already said to Alana, don't put too many irons in one fire. So they're just reaffirming that by coming forward. Okay. Kathy, yes. Robert, Donnie, Alice, Gwen passed away. Yes, Linda passed away. Okay, well, then I am going to say they are all around you, Kathy. And each one of them is sort of pushing you forward. Okay. And it could also be for your son. So it could just be pushing you forward to say, hey, I've got your back. I'm holding you up. There isn't anything you can't do. And there's something about a pocket watch. And I think, psychometry. Thank you, Lynn. Kathy, there's something about a pocket watch, about not a time frame, but I can hear it ticking. Okay. So it's like, not time is of the essence. That's not it. Okay. It's like time doesn't stand still for any man. We may think that we can make it happen, but it can't. So Kathy, that's the message. Time doesn't stand still. Move with it. Okay. So Lynn, thank you for telling me what it was called. Psychometry. I could not remember. But it's very much like clairsensence. No, forget it. Anyways, psychometry works for me, and that's true. It really does work like that. That's Kathy. Alice, X, people don't become, oh. Okay, let me try this. I can't get rid of my ex-husband. All right. He is now my cousin by marriage because, silly me, I introduced his sister to my cousin. So now he's in my family. My aunt lived with his dad for a little bit. So no matter how I got around this, he may be my ex-husband, but he's still my family. So even though people become ex, as far as I'm concerned, they are still your family because they've been part of your family. So her coming into the picture when you typed it, there's a reason for it, Kathy. And maybe it's just a matter of her being recognized. Okay. Okay, so Lynn, and I'm sorry to ask you this. You know what, Lynn? Could you IM me and let's talk? I think I need to talk to you about your son, but I don't want to do it here. Okay? But I need you to know that he loves you. And I think he knew he had a choice, Lynn, but he didn't take it. So I just want you to know that, and for you to know he loves you. Okay. Alana, you saged your place 2 weeks before I moved in, but yes, sage it again. And Kathy, Michael. So I'm going to take it that was your husband's name. Do you know what? There isn't a day he doesn't look in on you, that he's keeping an eye on you, and he's making sure that you are okay. And you're his, okay, I'm going to call you say it the way I'm hearing it. He says you're his chickie poo. And why do you ever wonder about it? You were always the person he wanted in your life. So Kathy, I need you to know that. All right. You're welcome, Haley. And Haley, I'm not sure if you have a little girl or not, But I'm going to tell you to maybe check under, or if you, I'm pretty sure you do have a young child at home, and you need to check. You've got something, where they do the ads, not that I have TV anymore, but where they do the ads saying, it takes a second. Okay, there's something where the lid isn't on tight enough and it's under either the sink or the bathroom sink. So Haley, please make sure that anything that a child can get into that could cause any kind of harm, that you've put up high enough or put safety lids on them. Okay, Lily, I am wondering about my Aunt Wilma, who has passed away, and my grandma, Granny Burrow. Oh, wow, haven't heard that name in a long time. So William, or Wilma, right? Wilma. Okay, so Lily, before I answer the question, Jeanette, if he's a smart man, he's going to put a ring on that finger. Okay, whether or not you walk down the aisle is one thing, but there should be a ring on your finger. Okay, because I am getting the impression from, I would say, a grandmother, that there should be a ring on that finger. So, and I'm saying maybe he should be listening to this, and she's saying, why isn't there a ring? So just so he knows. So Lily, your aunt, I'm going to start with her. Okay. Because maybe I should start with both of them. Sorry, I know it sounds like I'm jumping back and forth, but unfortunately, when you've got all these people in your head, that's exactly what happens. I'm seeing a rose garden. Oh, that song too. I'm hearing this song, something about a rose garden. Okay. If you don't have roses around you, you need to have roses around you, Lily, because they are, whether they're outside or inside, because both these ladies are talking about flower beds, about the beauty that comes with the flowers, the calmness, the scent, and that they bring joy to the eye. All right. I would tell you, both the ladies, whether they were sisters or not, I'm not sure, but I would say that they are together. Okay. And interesting enough, one of them has a fishing pole. Okay. So I would say one of them's gone fishing at least. And they seem to be doing a lot of dipping in the pot. Okay. So there seems to be a lot of laughter around them. And Lily, I'm not sure if that's you or Catherine that needs to you'll have to answer that for me. Well, you don't have to, but it would be nice if you would. Is there a lung problem around one or the other of you? Because if there is, I'm going to tell you to be careful this winter and make sure you've got plenty of Vicks on hand. Oh, well then, Kathy, there you go. There's the Irish Spring. It's funny because I don't always think of Irish Spring. Oh no, Helena, what did I ask you? Oh.
You were asking her about someone.
Yes, I know I was asking Helena about someone, but now I can't remember who it was. Oh my God. Okay, so Helena, do you mean that's your dead partner?
Started with a P.
And so would that be Peter, Paul, Patrick? Oh, please help me out here because there's so many people here. So could you let me know who's the dead partner and who they are too? That would be really helpful. Okay, so Brenda, your father was Robert. Oh, and you also have two Roberts. I want the dead guy, Brenda, because he's one of those men that, okay, when I say he's a man's man, I mean he probably liked to go hunting. He liked to be outside. He wasn't big on schooling children, but I don't feel like he did that bad of a job. Okay. And what I also feel is that he wants you to know that you're doing better now than you did 5 years ago. Or I could go back a little more than that. I could go back 10 years. And that you seem to be in a happier place, Brenda, than you were, let's say 10, 15 years ago. And for that, your dad's really grateful. Okay, so Robert is your brother, Angie. So whatever message I gave, if you could do that, it would be really helpful if you hand it on. Hi, Carol. Carol, would you mind? Okay, I'm just going to give you the message. Glenn's dad and mom have, you said, been gone now, have passed on. And I have a deck of cards. I look like I'm either playing gin rummy, hearts, and I'm laughing through it. And then the next scene I see is, you know, the big poodle skirts. There might be Halloween, Carol, I'm not sure, but I see them dressed like in your mom or his mom in a poodle skirt, and they seem to be, well, it's not really waltzing, but they're definitely dancing together. So I do honestly believe that their life in the other plane is a lot better than their life was in this plane. No, Kathy. Every time when things like that happen, Kathy, there are times where you have to let go. But I would say that things will let the guilt go. No use holding on to it anymore. Okay. Yes, I can. Angie, I can message it to you. Thank goodness I wrote it down, because normally I forget to write things like that down. So November 15th at 6:19 p.m., he needs to pull over stop for 5 to 15 minutes if he can. Okay. Well, if you missed what I said, Kathy, it will be here and you can go back later and you can listen to it. Okay, so good. So Jeanette, then I'm also going to say your aunts around you, since Margaret, Margie, and it's weird because I really want to say French lace or French coffee or French something. And it seems to be really important. Wow, that's interesting. Sorry about that. I mean, it's late at night and someone's drilling. So hopefully it's not interfering too much with this. And you know what? Sometimes it's really hard because when I'm hearing the messages, and I've got so many people coming in at once, and I tell you, if I took my temperature right now, I'm probably up around the 40 scale. It is really fun listening to them. And sometimes I really wished you could see. Like, I've had people waltz through here in costume right now. I've seen Lady Macbeth. I've seen Benjamin Franklin. Oh my God. Sorry about the noise. And it's a lot of fun. And yes, Gina, if you've got a question, just go ahead and ask it. Okay. There is, and so that's my daughter, and she's just grabbing her cat because she's a little scared with the noise going on. Tiana, yes, I do believe your brothers TJ and LJ are doing fine. Up to mischief, probably. All right. Keeping everyone on their toes, absolutely. And can you guys still hear me? Be curious, because someone just said they lost sound. And so there's a lot of things going on around right now. Now, what I'd like to know, no, I said November 15th. Okay, Margaret passed. All right. So with the noise going on, it's getting a little, oops, I got a cat under my feet too. Yes, Kathy, Robbie is okay. Normally I would just keep going, but with the noise, I'm sort of losing touch with all my people that were popping in here, but there's a couple names I'd still like to go through. So I really hope this isn't a problem. Does anyone recognize the name James or Jim or Jimmy, and they can be alive or past? I know I have a brother who has passed, and I don't hear him as much as I hear from my parents, which is interesting. And so, and I'm really sorry about the noise. This doesn't normally happen. So anyways, Tracy, don't see you on here, but Penelope sees you. Oh, there you are. Hi, Tracy. And so I'll go back to the question I just asked. Does anyone recognize the name James or Jim or Jimmy, and he can be alive? He doesn't have to be. Tiana, your uncle Jim who's alive. Okay. So what I want to say to the live one, and I don't know if it's him unless he's smoking, Tiana. If Jim is smoking, he needs to quit. Okay. It seems to be very important that he quits. And Kim, my husband's passed. Okay. Oh, so Sandra's not on, but she sent me an email. But I'm not pulling cards tonight, Sandra. I'm just sort of going off with whatever spirit is telling me. So I am going to do a couple of things first, Sandra, and I'll get to you. And Holly says, Kim, my husband's uncle passed, and Marion, James' brother, alive, stepdad, James passed. All right. Okay. Then Tiana, tell him to quit smoking, please. All right. There's a little hazard there with him puffing on those cigarettes or whatever it is he's smoking. So I'm asking if you could just put it out there. It's up to him. Okay. And Holly, I'm not really picking up anything, but I sort of feel safe, content, warm. And Marion, your brother Jim has to be careful of what are they showing me? The lower part of his back, like, where the dip is in the back, and then you come down somewhere in there, there's a little, there's something wrong, or there will be something wrong. So he needs to be careful. So just tell him to look after the back. Okay. And the stepdad, James, who's passed, okay. Any of these Jims used to live on a farm by any chance? Because I'm seeing ducks, and they're my yellow rubber duckies, and I'm seeing ducks in a row. And I have I would say a hearing aid that I can't hear properly, so I have to put a hearing aid in to hear, or I did have to put a hearing aid in. And what I'm going to say about that is the hearing aid is fine. And oh, okay, I got Irish leather cologne. So that's the other smell I'm picking up. So if he fits into any of those, James or Jim. Okay, so then Marion, the gentleman who lived on the farm, he is showing me the ducks all lined up in a row, and that life is like that. If we line everything up, we can get to where we need to be. And would anyone recognize the name Gladys? Because I have a Gladys here, and it's definitely Gladys. She says, don't change my name. I was going to call her Gladdy, but she's saying Gladys. All right. Okay. Then Kathy, tell him to go to naturopath. If Western medicine won't work, maybe Eastern medicine or metaphysical medicine will work. Okay. So now that the noise has stopped, what I really want to say from Spirit today is this. Life is like a bowl of Jell-O. If you shake it the right way, you can watch it move. And as it moves, you can pick it up and change it and move it to different places. And that is what life is about, is being able to move things. And before I forget, Sandra, okay, you need to start making lists. What do you want to see in your life, Sandra? What direction do you want it to go? And then as you're writing out the list, you want to write down one word at a time, and then under it do the pros and cons and decide, is this really going to work for me, or I'm putting too much energy into something that's never going to get to where I want it to be? And you have to stop second guessing yourself. We're all born with intuitive ability. It's whether or not we choose to listen. So what I'm hearing, Sandra, is stop second guessing yourself. All right, everyone, I am going to call it quits for tonight. I would like to thank everyone, and hopefully if you listen, remember, if I'm talking to one person about a James or a Jim and it suits what you're hearing and it resonates with you, then the message is also for you. It's not limited. And oh, I think I forgot Tracy entirely. Tracy, just in case I did forget you, all right? I feel as though now's the time to unpack. Now's the time to look for that perfect idea, concept around home for you. And that, okay, I'm going to hold on there for a minute. But Tracy, remember, now's it. Now's the time to start moving forward, because don't look back anymore. Keep going forward, because you're headed in the right direction. And Tracy, I don't know if you just moved or you're going to move, but they are saying there's a move around you and your mom's coming with you. Okay, Faye. I didn't know that about your mom. Would you let your mom, oh, okay, know this. She's looking after your mom, all right? Faye, Gladys is looking after your mom, and she just wants you to know that her heart goes out to everyone, and that she loves you all, even though you may never have known her, but she is looking after your mom. And what a young age to have a heart attack at. All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming on. We will be on Tuesday, Sean and I, at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Penelope and I will be on Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific time. And I will be back on next Thursday. And keep in mind that I will do a pre-recorded broadcast for my new tarot decks this week. So pop in and have a look at them. And if you really like this, please, share it with people. Click the like button on Facebook. And Jeanette, I love these live videos, and thank you. I love doing them too. Like I said to Lynn, I really miss doing live platform work, because the energy is even more intense than it is now. So it is a lot of fun. So now you see what I do without cards. And the cards are just another way of opening a portal for me. So have a fantastic evening, and we will see you next Tuesday. Cheers, everyone.
Oh, poor Shadow and Moonlight.
Wait.